should be able to hear yourselves.
Not yet.
One of those.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, now I do. Okay, mine's fine. How's yours?
I don't hear anything yet.
You can turn
I
it
can
up.
hear you.
You have to turn it up.
I think it's this one. Wait a minute. Low. The better? No? Maybe this one. Better? Yes? No?
I can't hear anything.
Okay.
Keep working.
Okay.
One of them is hers.
Is that better?
Oh, there. Now I can hear you.
All right.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
that too loud?
Mm-mm.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, young ladies.
Okie dokie.
You ready?
Let's take the show on the road.
The Women in Business Show, brought to you by Promo Experts. Promo Experts is a one-stop, full-service marketing company. They can help you get noticed with top-notch creative graphic design, marketing strategy, video production, digital marketing, and promotional products to move you forward. Okay, audience, here's your host of the Women in Business Show, Diane Carson.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to the show. My name is Diane Carson, and I am the host of the Women in Business Show on KWRH 92.9 FM and the owner of Promo Experts, a marketing, public relations, and promotional distribution company. This show airs on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM on Sunday at noon and streams daily the following week at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. on My Genre Radio through Zeno FM. Each week, we interview a successful business owner or an expert, we're in for a treat today, who can provide advice to our women business owner listeners, providing them insight into their business, or to women who are just starting a business, thinking about leaving their corporate jobs or to enter the world of entrepreneurship, or who want to move their business or professional life to the next level. We hope you'll gain at least one good nugget that you can put into practice in your business or professional life immediately. Today, we're talking with Kelly Rizzi, CEO and founder of Rise Up and Live Wellness. And here's a little about Kelly. Kelly Rizzi is passionate about helping high-achieving business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are tired of being overstressed and overscheduled, I think we're all that way, and want a life reset to ultimately take their personal and professional lives to the next level. Through her speaking presentations for organizations and companies, along with her proven coaching methods and one-day Address Your Stress breakthrough, she has helped hundreds of women shift out of faulty stress patterns and into more peace, happiness, and success. Her expertise is derived from being in the wellness industry for more than 12 years, including master coaching certifications in neuro-linguistic programming and the advanced transformational coaching method, emphasizing neuroscience, mindset, communication, and behaviors. She is contributing author in the Amazon International bestseller, Fearless and Fabulous, with the chapter Radical Acceptance, and has been featured on ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS, as well as many other online media outlets. She is also the host of the podcast Winning in Business, where she too interviews amazing women who are winning in business. A couple of statistics before we start chatting with Kelly. The common cause of chronic stress for women include work-related, family, or financial stress. There are also many potential events throughout the day that can cause momentary stress. Even though these stressors may not last long, they can cause changes in our health and mental status. And the impact of stress and the gender differences, 63% of men said they are doing enough to manage their stress compared to 51% of women. 1 in 4 women acknowledge they are not doing enough when it comes to managing stress. Only 17% of men feel that way. So without further ado, let's welcome Kelly to the show. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great
I'm so
to have
excited
you.
to be here.
I think this is really a subject that everybody needs to be aware of. And I know that you helped me in one of the leads group that I'm in. And to this day, I think it's been about 6 months ago, they all tell me, oh, we still do what Kelly told us to do. So
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
People are like, I'm still using a strategy you taught me, which is fabulous.
I think it's amazing. You really, do great work. So why are you so passionate about helping women businessmen reduce and manage their stress?
for the impacts of unmanaged stress are just huge. And the biggest thing is the health issues.
Mhm.
And so stress is one of the leading causes for the 6 major causes of death.
Mhm.
So that is heart disease, liver disease, cancer, diabetes, accidents, and death and suicides. Okay, so stress plays a major factor in all of those. And if we think about it, like none of us want any of those. And yet, if we keep our stress at any level for a long period of time, it's going to catch up with us.
Mhm.
Stress is always going to catch up with us.
Right.
And, we look at other impacts of unmanaged stress, which can be divorce,
Mm.
which can be not being present in our own lives, in our kids' lives. There's so many just impacts that happen. And for me, another reason is my own personal story.
Mm.
And so it was, let's see, more than 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I ended up in the hospital due to stress. And for me, I am an overachiever. And if you looked at what I was doing, I was eating healthy and I was exercising and I was taking care of myself. And, my career was on a good path and all these things, except I was overdoing all of it.
Mhm.
And so one night I ended up, it was late. And I am what I now say a recovering perfectionist. But at the time, I was one of those that I would, have to get up early to get myself ready, get my kids, out the door, the whole thing. But I would also have to be up late. And so I didn't get a lot of sleep at the time. And I was just like, well, I can just live on this amount of sleep. Well, you can live on that amount of sleep until you can't anymore.
Mhm.
And so one night I was up very late and I was finishing doing some work and I was making sure that the house was all ready, perfectionism,
Mhm.
getting everything ready for the next day. And all of a sudden my heart just started racing. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going to go to bed. Like, this is a sign. I hear you. So I went upstairs, got myself ready for bed. And I just kept telling myself, like, breathe, you'll be fine. It'll go away. And I laid down and my heart is still like pounding out of my chest. And next thing I know, I'm sweating, like I'm dripping with sweat and I'm doing nothing. I'm laying there. So at the time I went and got my heart rate monitor that I used to use to exercise and I put it on and my heart rate was in like the 190s. And so I finally decided I should wake up my husband and we should, call 911 and figure out what to do about this. And so when the paramedics got there, they told me I was in tachycardia.
Wow.
And they said, well, we're just going to need to stop your heart.
Mm.
Exactly. Like,
Wow.
okay. And
What?
and restart it,
Yeah, oh gosh.
and then it will be okay.
Wow.
And then he said, it's just going to feel like you're being punched in the stomach.
Oh,
And I
no.
always say I'm an only child.
Me
I really
too.
don't know what it feels like. Like I
Me
didn't have
too. I
brothers
know-
punching me in
I
the
know
stomach, right? I'm
exactly
like,
what you
well,
mean.
okay.
Yeah.
So they it was a shot and I felt like I was being punched in the stomach. And then I woke up gasping like, and so then my heart rate returned to normal. I did have to go to the ER because of course they want to do follow-up tests and everything. And actually I was fine. Like after they got it back to the normal rhythm, I was fine. Other than the fact that I knew I had to do something different. Like I could not keep living this way.
Mhm.
And so it really made me start to reevaluate my own life.
Had your family made comments before this? I mean, were they aware of this? Did your husband notice it? Or okay. Okay.
Yes. And for me, I was like, this is like, honey, this is this is what every
Right. This is just who
every
I am,
working
how I do it.
mom
Right,
does,
sure,
right? Like I
right.
am just
It's
on the,
normal. Yeah.
yes, it is normal. Like
Mhm.
seriously,
Mhm.
just normalize
Right.
stress.
Right.
I'm sure my mother tried to tell me as well, and I can now have compassion. Like I can look back at it so
Mhm.
differently,
Mhm.
right? I'm honestly like so thankful that I'm not divorced because I feel like if I had kept on that track,
Mhm.
it would have led to that. Like I
Right.
was not always a nice
I
person
was
to be
going to say, were
around.
you a totally different
Yes,
personality?
yes.
Yeah.
Very thankful that my kids still like me and,
They were saying, "Oh, that's just mom for you."
but what I can't get back is that time to redo it with
Right,
them. You
right.
know what I mean? Like I can't get back any of that. And I consider myself a great mom. It's
Mhm.
not like I was a, did anything wrong.
Mhm.
Just, my expectations, the way that my perfectionism, like things like that. You know
But
what I
did that
mean?
spill over onto your family? Did you
Oh,
expect?
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
yeah, probably
Absolutely it
would.
did.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. So you
Mhm.
were expecting your kids to be
Oh, yeah.
better.
And my husband.
Sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. Why aren't they doing this? And
Mhm.
wow, boy,
Mhm.
that's quite some story. So, what are the different ways stress shows up in people? So, obviously, one of them is
Yeah.
a heart attack.
Yeah.
So,
So exactly. So there's 4 different ways that stress shows up in people. So one is structural, and that can be in more like the bones. Like those are like aches and pains, bones and muscles. So aches and pains that we have, those are all signs, right? It's our body truly trying to tell us something. The other way is like more chemical, and that's inside. So those are all of the process of the body. And again, trying to tell us things. So the heart attack, right? The digestive issues, people that have chronic digestive issues, like any endocrine, autoimmune, anything like that, like your body is trying to tell you something, and stress is involved in that. Another way is through our sense of connection, sense of connection with self, connection to others, and then our connection with, let's say, that which is greater, right? Universe, God, whoever you believe in, source. And then the last way is through our beliefs and our emotions, mental and emotional. And really, that's where it starts. Because every thought that we have, every belief that we have, then trickles into all of our cells, which then anytime anything happens and how we respond to anything, we're either going to lash out at people, we're going to isolate, it's going to show up. You know what I mean? Like I know when I'm sitting at my desk too long, because all of a sudden I have this, like right here on my shoulder. It's like, get up, take a break, get up. You've been sitting too, you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
my body knows.
Right.
And so there's many different ways, but it's always going to start
I guess they do say pay attention
with
yeah, right.
and that is something that we don't do
Oh,
because
yeah.
we don't have time. Right? Oh, I'll get to that later.
Right. I've
Oh,
got
that'll
things to
go
do.
away. I'll
yeah,
ignore. Yes,
sure.
exactly.
Too busy for that. Yeah. Especially business owners,
Yes.
entrepreneurs, they're always, especially if they're a solo entrepreneur, because they're wearing many hats.
Correct.
And so they have to really push themselves to get everything done in a certain amount. I know I'm guilty of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we really do. It's like, I'm just going to ignore it. And then it doesn't go away. And then oftentimes it will get worse. And so for me, I was in adrenal fatigue, and it took quite a while for me to heal that adrenal fatigue. Had I have addressed it originally, right? If I had had a Kelly in my life way back then, I wouldn't have ended up where I was. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't have taken me as long to heal it because I would have addressed it immediately.
Right. So when did you, was it like a sudden epiphany that you thought, well,
after that hospital visit, I was like,
Okay.
I have got to start living different.
okay.
And I knew that I had to address, when I started doing my research and started really learning about things, one, it was learning about how our body responds and how our thoughts, how our emotions, how our beliefs drive our body. Like that was the biggest thing, is that everything I'm thinking, all of my beliefs, which is really who we are. So to me, the way that I like to look at stress is that stress is a mind game, and stress is all about who we're being. And, when I do my speaking, when I do my coaching, it's not about do more yoga and eat more broccoli. I think those are important,
Right,
yes, do yoga. Yes, eat your vegetables,
Right,
whatever. But
right.
it is so much more than that. It is really about addressing us. If that makes sense, like who
asking
we
yourself,
are. So for
why
me,
am I doing this?
yeah.
Or-
So for me, I'm the perfectionist, right? Where is it, like, for what purpose? What is that getting me? You know what I mean?
Right.
I was the high achiever, and as a coach, I'm not asking anyone to not be a high achiever. However, when it's affecting your health,
Right.
your relationships, your life,
Right.
when you have that inner chaos, right? There's nothing worse than not being at peace, right? And having chaos around you, whether it be external chaos
Right.
or internal chaos,
Right.
then that's when you really have to start addressing some things.
Okay.
I was impatient. I had to deal with,
Sure.
I had to take a look at that. Like, where's that coming from? And How's that serving me?
Okay, so can you give me, without names, obviously, so some kind of example of someone that's come to you that didn't realize what you just said, that long list of things that they were doing that was ruining their life?
It was interesting. So I had a business owner the other day that I was coaching, and she was talking about some employees that she has.
Mhm.
And she was like, and they're coming in and they're expecting me to do this immediately. And and I said, hold up. I said, we're going to remove them. Well, we're going to look at just you right now.
Mhm.
And what she realized is that she places very high expectations on
Mhm.
herself.
Mhm.
And so she's internalizing that they are placing these great expectations
Mhm.
on her, as well as what are the expectations she's placing on them.
Yeah.
Are they realistic?
Mm,
You know what I
right.
mean? And so
Sure.
does that make sense? So
Mhm.
she's placing unrealistic expectations on her employees,
Mhm.
on herself.
Mhm.
And so then there's just tension
Right.
whenever they're around,
Mhm.
and it's causing stress. It's
Mhm.
causing stress for the employees,
Right.
stress for her.
Mhm.
And then they're not being productive
Mhm.
because then the mind is going, and then then we start blaming others,
You're almost
right?
walking on eggs. Trying
Yes,
to figure
exactly.
out, yeah.
And oftentimes we see that, and I'll take full credit of this, right? Like I used to blame my husband. Well, if my husband would just do this, I could get rid of some stress. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the things weren't bothering my husband.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's sitting over there not stressed at all. So again, it's not about it is about what about this about me? You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
what do I need to let go of?
Mhm.
Okay, so your question about other business owners. I've had business owners who have had like lack of confidence
Mhm.
will come up,
Mhm.
which causes stress.
Mhm.
And that can be a big thing. If you're lacking self-confidence, if you're lacking self-doubt
Mhm.
in any decision that you're making, if you are someone that is struggling with boundaries, that's a big one.
Mhm.
Not having proper boundaries in place, and that's different for everybody of how
Mhm.
that looks. That causes a huge amount of stress. Not using your voice.
Mhm.
Right? So we all have an internal gut
Mhm.
that tells us,
Mhm.
except we often ignore it.
Right.
And we tend to go with what society expects, what society tells us, and our gut is telling us
Mhm.
really what we need to do. Kind of like our body. Our
Mhm.
body is like giving us
Mhm.
signs, and our
Right.
gut does that as well. We have just become what I call heads
Mhm.
on top of bodies that we don't check in with. We're
Mhm.
just like heads.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we forget to check in with our bodies. And so all of those things cause stress. And if
Mhm.
you're thinking about a business owner, a businesswoman, a woman,
Mhm.
and you're running your business and you have a family and you have kids, there's a lot of
Mhm.
responsibility.
Right. Yeah. So, what are some of the common misconceptions about stress then? Well, we kind of covered it a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you think it just because someone's stressed out, are they just allowed to just burst out on somebody? Or, I mean,
Oh, right, exactly.
okay,
Like
yeah.
I'm stressed, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, right.
That can be a misconception.
Okay.
I think another one is I get so many people that are like, well, I'm only motivated
Mhm.
when I'm stressed.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
And so that's something to look at, like,
Mhm.
and that's something to check
Mhm.
of like, where is that belief coming from?
Mhm.
And is that really true?
Right.
That I have to be stressed,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
That stress is never going away.
Mhm.
And another one is stress is good for you. Now,
Mhm.
there is a certain amount of stress that is okay. All right. So we know that a certain amount of stress can propel us into action. It can, if we all of a sudden get let's say a new client, right? And there are things that we have to do when we get a client, actions that we
Mhm.
have to take. That's exciting.
Right.
Right. And so that does propel us. A new project, if you're just put on a new project, it's
Right.
exciting, right? So, different things can really excite us. If you're going to, I went skydiving.
Mhm.
That was exciting.
Mhm.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
so stress can be good and it is exciting.
Right.
It's when you actually don't have enough stress in your life and you are bored
Mhm.
and then you become lethargic and then you become disengaged and then you're not interested in anything, that's actually not good.
Mhm.
And when you're on the other side of the spectrum of when you are overwhelmed anxious,
Mm.
you are under that stress entirely too long,
Mhm.
that's when it
Under
really
deadlines and that kind of
that
thing.
yes, when
Yeah.
you are under constant deadlines,
Mhm.
when you are constantly, so we call that chronic stress,
Mhm.
right? So there's eustress, which is good stress.
Mhm.
There's acute stress, which is little stressors that
Mhm.
happen.
Right.
And then there's chronic stress, and that's the little stressors that are now taking place all the time.
Mhm.
So if you're someone that's, I don't know that we have this quite as much anymore, but when we used to always have to sit in traffic, if you're
Mhm.
always sitting in traffic,
Mhm.
that can be chronic stress.
Mhm.
If you're always in a relationship that is not healthy and you're arguing,
Mhm.
chronic stress. If you're
Right.
always dealing with financial issues,
Mhm.
chronic stress.
Mhm.
Always under deadlines,
Mhm.
always trying to hire people,
Mhm.
always trying to fix the culture of a business. Like
Mhm.
that's chronic.
Wow. So I know that one of the buzzwords these days is mindset.
Yeah.
So what is the connection between mindset and stress?
Okay, so I'll go back to what I said earlier, that your beliefs become your thoughts
Right.
and your thoughts become your actions,
Okay.
right? And so our actions, our beliefs, our thoughts, our actions are really what's causing us stress. And, for me, how I like to look at it is I call them stress personalities, okay? And I've mentioned some of them,
Mhm.
right? So the high achiever can be a stress personality.
Mhm.
Being very impatient, if you're always impatient and expecting everybody around you to hurry up,
Mhm.
stress personality.
Mhm.
If you are a doer, the doers are the people pleasers. The
Mhm.
doers will take on anything. There's a difference between high achievers and doers. Okay.
Mhm.
High achievers are typically looking for the success, the recognition, the climbing the ladder in
Mhm.
that way.
Right.
The doers are doing everything to make sure that people like them.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's a difference.
That's me.
Okay, yeah.
I'm recognizing
Yes,
myself.
and so that's a stress personality, right?
Do you think that's an only child syndrome though?
No, because I
Really?
don't have that.
Okay.
I'm not a
Oh,
people
okay.
pleaser.
All right.
Mm-mm.
You're not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
I am.
No, so that,
Okay.
and then there can be like if you are a hard rule follower, like
Mhm.
everything is black and white,
Right.
okay?
Right.
That causes a lot of stress,
Mhm.
right? Not understanding is a whole lot of gray.
Mhm.
Control freaks.
Mm.
That causes a lot of stress,
Mhm.
so I've broken them down into, and then there's other people, like here's a stressor for me as an only child, obligated.
Mhm.
So as my parents get older,
Mhm.
I'm the only one, well,
Mhm.
and my husband will help
I'm going through
clearly,
that right
yes,
now.
but
Yeah.
I will be obligated
Mhm.
to take care of them, and it's
Right.
me and that's it,
Mhm.
right? So that becomes a stressor
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
you feel like you're obligated
Mhm.
and that there's no other choice.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing I will say about that is we always have choices.
Mhm.
So there are choices,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so it's then going, okay, how much stress is this putting on me?
Mhm.
And do I need to make a different choice? Because if I'm not healthy,
Mhm.
is that helping them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
looking at it in a different way.
Yeah. I'm sort of going through that myself. My 99-year-old dad is by himself and had
Yeah.
a really nasty fall, had to go in the
Mhm.
hospital. And I'm getting emails, from his associates saying, why are you over there? You need to be doing something. I can't do anything but get on a plane when I can get away, kind of
Right.
thing. So I have a life. So
Yes. And you're a business
right,
owner.
right. Yes.
Mhm,
Yeah. So one of his friends, I was talking to him and I said, I feel so guilty that I made the decision to stay here so
Mhm,
young. And he said, don't beat yourself up. Your dad is so proud of you.
mhm.
And he said, you know what? None of us can look hindsight,
Yeah.
to say the decisions we made years ago.
Yeah.
No one knows. So yeah, but that'd be one of them.
And that's another thing we'll get to is guilt.
Okay.
But keep going.
Okay, so how do you help business women navigate stress and reclaim the time without sacrificing success?
Yeah. So I have a process, and my process is to really look at, we need to look at mental and emotional stress.
Mhm.
Okay. And we really need to look at that because that is running in the background all the time.
Mhm.
Also, I need to help women reclaim time
Okay.
because when we can reclaim time and get back hours into our day, that's when we can prioritize ourselves a little bit more. We can prioritize ourselves. We can prioritize our family. Whatever we need to prioritize, we can get that in there by getting back some time.
Okay.
The next thing that I do is make sure that they have all the stress management tools that they need.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of, you heard my coaching credentials and just all the research I've done. I have a lot of
Mhm.
coaching tools and
Right.
strategies.
Mhm.
And I like to say, even for my stress personalities, I look at there are certain stress techniques for different stress personalities.
Right.
Like not every tool is good for everybody.
Everybody.
So it's really looking at what is good for this situation. What, you know what I mean? And that's really what I teach my
So
clients.
Custom.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that they have
Mhm.
what they need for different situations. And then we're going to look at renewing relationships because in that time of stress, there's guilt.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's shame.
Mhm.
Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like emotions are coming up. Like I
Mhm.
said, I needed to repair my relationship with my husband. I needed to spend a little bit more quality time with my kids. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Right.
So we need to renew those relationships. And then when that is kind of all in place, then it's next level success. Like you have your life. It's that life reset
Okay.
that then you're going to that next level.
Great. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the guilt and,
Yes.
and other things. So before we go to break, can you tell us how our listeners can contact you?
Yes. So I am on LinkedIn
Okay.
at Kelly Risse. So KELLI
Mhm.
RISSE.
Okay.
And then my website is Rise Up and Live Wellness. My email is Kelly
Okay.
at riseupandlivewellness.com.
KELLI
KELLI at RISELIVEANDWELLNESS.com.
Okay.
Longest email ever. But LinkedIn is a great way
Okay.
to reach out to me.
Great. Okay, so we're going to take a short commercial break. This is Women in Business on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM.
Do you want to become a radio show host or do you want to create a radio show? Well, Dr. Stan Fine can help you to have your own radio show and put you on 100 cities daily across the U.S. And you can immediately start recording from a live radio studio. As a radio industry veteran, Dr. Stan Fine has 12 years of experience and has produced and hosted over 1,000 radio shows with over 10 million listeners. Dr. Stan Fine knows how to make this happen for you. He's a pro, and he can turn your dreams into a reality. Dr. Stan Fine will help you with everything from learning how to promote your show, develop a host persona, interview techniques, market your show on social media, teach you how to get guests and sponsors, and more. Dr. Stan Fine can put you on the air nationwide daily to 100 cities. If you're interested in making your dream come true, if you want to see how it all works, then give Dr. Stan Fine a call at 314-710-8413. That's 314-710-8413. You've got nothing to lose, and Dr. Stan Fine can help make your nationwide radio dreams come true.
Hey, listeners, saying thanks to your customers is nice and polite, but expressing your gratitude in memorable and ongoing ways can boost your business. At Promo Experts LLC, we exceed our customers' expectations. For over 20 years, our product knowledge and experience has helped them with their marketing initiatives and trade show graphics. We are happy to put that experience to work for you. Quality products, great customer service, and prices are our #1 priority. We work with you to find unique, creative, and new ideas that fit your image and expectations, helping you build strong relationships with your customers. When you select Promo Experts as your marketing partner, we help you to see more than the big picture. For more information about this exciting opportunity, contact Diane Carson, President, at 636-458-5241. That's 636-458-5241. Let Promo Experts help you to move your business brand beyond the bland.
Many small businesses do not have a marketing manager. In many cases, it is the company owner that drives marketing and sales efforts with the gut instinct to survive. Even when small businesses do have a marketing manager, though, many of them are trying to navigate through the complex sales and marketing landscape with little to no success or budget.
How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money is a general purpose how-to business book written for business owners and marketing professionals by business owners Dr. Stan Fine and Joseph W. Clote. This guide is not intended to be read as a front-to-back chapter book and rather serves as a quick reference guide. Refer to this book as you need specific information and skip around as needed.
Promoting your business with limited money is one challenging feat, but there are unlimited ideas you can apply to achieve objectives you pre-establish. So put on your marketing hat and let's take action to start showing your prospects the value your business delivers.
A little you need to know about Dr. Stan Fine. During his 60-year career, Dr. Fine has become an authority on sales and marketing business development issues. His presentations have made him much in demand as a speaker and seminar leader. He has taught business development topics at numerous universities across the United States and has conducted over 500 sales and management seminars. Some of Dr. Fine's credentials in corporate America are currently Dr. Fine serves as a co-host of the Your Business radio show on KWRH 92.9 FM in St. Louis and a co-host of Nationwide Daily Radio Show on my Genre Radio Network on the Zeno Media platform. In 100 cities, he is also on a daily TV show on the Valuable TV and the Real TV networks. Go and get a copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money today.
To purchase your copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money, go to It's Your Business website at www.itsyourbusinessradio.com.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to part 2 of our show. If you're just now joining us, you're listening to the Women in Business Show, and you can catch us locally every Sunday at noon on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM, and streaming daily at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. on My Genre Radio through Zeno FM at zeno.fm/St. Louis. Today, we're talking with Kelly Rizzi, the CEO of Rise Up and Live Wellness. And before we go any further, can you please tell us again how our listeners can get hold of you?
Yes. So on LinkedIn, Kelly Rizzi, KELLIRISSE. And then my website is riseupandlivewellness.com. And then my email is the same, kelly@riseupandlivewellness.com, all spelled out, Kelly with an I.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kelly. So can you tell me about a specific experience working with an overwhelmed, overworked, and overstressed businesswoman?
Yes. Okay. So I actually did it. So I have a friend who was like, I need you to talk to our group, our organization. Okay. So I spoke with the group, and the business owner, she has 5 employees, and then she has 35 contractors underneath her. Okay. And it was a very stressful time in their industry. And after she heard me present the mess of stress, she was like, oh my gosh, like I need a life reset. Like she was definitely recognizing, she's like, I am drinking more wine. She's like, I'm not exercising like I was, our eating habits, right? There's so many different ways. It's very interesting. When I started coaching, like my business has pivoted because I recognized all the habits that people drop off are typically because of stress. When stress comes in, that's when all the things that we don't want to be doing starts. And so I was like, I need to start really addressing the stress, because when you address the stress, all the things that we know to do, right? We know we need to be eating well. We know we need to be moving our bodies. We know we need to be sleeping better, but they're all compounded and bleh when stress happens.
So you think people self-medicate with other behaviors?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the interesting thing about that is, not as an excuse. And part of me looks at it as, well, that's your coping mechanism right now. And if you weren't doing that, well, what would happen? Do you know what I'm saying? So, and at some point people are like, yep, I cannot continue to drink a bottle of wine every night, or I cannot continue to go on my Amazon account and buy what, shopping. Women love shopping. It's a form of stress relief. You know what I mean? Yeah. Another way that women is sometimes we don't exercise, and sometimes we over-exercise, right? And we're like, I'm going to go kill it in the gym. Well, that is not helping our parasympathetic system. Right. That is keeping us in that fight or flight. Anyway, so she realized, she's like, I need a life reset. Like I know what to do, but I'm overwhelmed. The people around me are driving me nuts. I'm not really engaged with my family like I want to be, that we talked about that, like pulling away, when stress comes. And so she and we started working one-on-one. And so we did that. And like I said, we got some of those things in place. We got her some time back. We got some habits in place. We got the stress management techniques that she was using,
Mhm.
right? Her relationships. And then we moved into what I call my 1-day breakthrough.
Mhm. Okay.
And my 1-day breakthrough is kind of something that propels you into this quantum leap forward. And it is good for so many things. And it's a 1-day deep dive is how I like to look at it. And the process is, as busy business owners, as people that are stressed,
Mhm.
we don't always have a lot of time, right? We don't have 6 months for everything to get better. Like sometimes we need it to get better immediately.
Mhm.
And so in this breakthrough, for people that live out of town, which, we are in the greater St. Louis area, for people that live out of town, I provide a very luxury experience for them.
Mhm.
And, they come in, they stay at the Ritz-Carlton,
Mhm.
and we do the breakthrough there, and they get a massage the next day, and is literally a time for them to decompress.
Nice.
And the breakthrough, it takes care of so many different things. We talked about that guilt.
Mhm.
It will level off emotions.
Mm.
We have unwarranted emotions that have really started somewhere way back from the ages of 0 to 7,
Mhm.
right? And the emotions can be anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Women carry a lot of guilt
Mhm.
around. We also carry a lot of fear around, right? And so sometimes it's fear that keeps us stuck, and we keep hitting the ceiling, right? It's a ceiling in our business. It's a ceiling in our
What if I don't do this? This is going to happen.
yes,
And- yeah.
right.
Mhm.
And then we carry the guilt around,
Right.
right? We carry the mom guilt around. We
Mhm.
carry the only child
Mhm.
guilt around,
Mhm.
all those guilts around. And so it really levels that off
Mhm.
so that it's not running every decision that you make.
Mhm.
You're going to feel, it's not that you're never going to feel guilt again, but it's not driving decisions, and it's not eating you up.
Mhm.
Remember how I talked about that inner peace?
Mhm.
It truly brings that inner peace. The other thing that it does is it eliminates any limiting beliefs that have happened that we have picked up along the way.
Mhm.
And as humans, we have picked up things along the way. There has been a teacher
Mhm.
that has told us, or a parent,
Mhm.
you can't do it. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
You're not skinny enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And it knocks that out.
Mhm.
So, and when I talk about a quantum leap and to propel you forward, it's truly what it does.
Mhm.
And then the other thing it does is it takes any what I call tug of wars. So we all have tug of wars, these internal tug of wars, right? Sometimes as we get older, it's, I want to retire and I want to stay in business, right? And you're like back and forth, like, which is doing no good, because then the universe can't bring you what you want because it doesn't know what you want. So
Right.
you're just stuck.
Right.
Same thing with, I want to be the best business mom or the best business woman, and I want to be the best mom.
Mhm.
And so one minute you're being the best businesswoman and you're like, oh Lord, my family's falling apart. The next thing you're being the best mom and you're like,
It's like a
well,
seesaw.
what's my business doing?
Right.
We take care of that.
Mhm.
This process takes care of that and brings it together so that you can feel peace about what you're doing,
Mhm.
knowing that there's a higher purpose.
Mhm.
You want to talk about freedom.
Mhm.
Like there is mental and emotional freedom in that. And then we look at values. There's a whole lot of times where our values are unconscious. All of this is at the unconscious level. That's what makes me different than a lot of coaches, is I'm always coaching at the unconscious level
Mhm.
instead of what's right here, right
Right.
up in front, right? That's 10% of,
Mhm.
90% of what
Mhm.
runs our life is
Sure.
unconscious.
Mhm.
So we're going to look at values. And I'll give you an example for myself. My values, in order for me to take my business to the next level of like my income and everything, my values were not in the right order.
Mhm.
And so I kept hitting the ceiling and I was frustrated. I was like, what is going on? Oh, well, I needed to do some work on, I didn't do it on myself. I had,
Right,
I
right.
had someone else do the process.
Right.
I had another client that she had to do the same thing and realized that her values were not in place. And as soon as she got them in place, her business took off.
Mhm.
Another client that did this breakthrough with me, she had self-doubt. She wanted to add a whole nother leg of business, another stream of revenue,
Mhm.
and she lacked confidence, just had some self-doubt in there. We did this breakthrough in 3 months. She increased her income by $40,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's
Wow.
one day.
Oh, wow.
One day, people.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I mean, it's very, very
Wow.
powerful. And that's
so. Is this neuroscience? Or?
It is.
Okay.
It
yeah.
is. So you are literally going in and rewiring
Okay.
things in your brain, and it has to be the unconscious.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You have to do it unconsciously. I mean, you're like, you know
Oh,
what I
I was
mean?
gonna say, you're knocking somebody out.
I know, I'm not knocking anybody out. Nope, the person's sitting right across from me.
Okay.
Everything's fine, really. It's a very lovely process. It's somewhat exhausting because you're dealing with some, it's vulnerable. And one of the things that people, when they meet me, I meet a lot of people out networking, right? They're like, oh my gosh, you must have clients out the wazoo. Everybody's stressed.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, not everybody is willing to deal with it. Not everybody wants to be vulnerable enough to go, I have a problem with my stress, right? Because we get caught up in I think for high achievers, it's if I address my stress, then I won't be successful, right? Then I
have
won't
to admit that I have a problem.
Yes, I have to admit I have a problem, and somebody's going to tell me that I can't do something, and I'm going to have to slow down, which is going to stop my success. When really, it's just about learning how to address it so you can actually move faster in a healthy way.
Okay.
Because we always have to remember, we cannot climb any ladder of success if we are not healthy. We can't.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's always remembering when you address the stress and you learn the strategies and you take care of the mental and emotional piece to help your body handle it.
So are these exercises that I know you gave us an exercise, but
some are exercises.
Okay, right.
When we do the breakthrough, they're called modalities. Like they're modalities that we do. They're very specific to that.
Okay.
When I coach with people, the techniques I use, some are just asking the right questions.
Okay.
Sometimes as a coach, I ask really good questions. That's the biggest thing I always hear. They're like, oh, you ask good questions. And that's the importance because we have blinders on and can't always see our own, you know what I mean? We're living in our own thick of things and can't see it.
Right.
And so it's just about asking the right questions.
Right. I once heard where they said when you go to see a counselor, it's because that person isn't involved in your life.
Correct.
So you're kind of on the outside.
Correct. Yes.
So you can kind of give them information, that nobody else would tell them, kind of thing.
You know who I can't coach? My husband.
Really?
And what's so interesting is that I actually have a health coach certification as well. And so, he's like, I need to change my eating habits. And I told him all these things. I've told him everything, right? And I know it's how I live. And he went and I said, okay. I said, you need to go see this person. Highly, you know what I mean? I know her. She's fabulous. So I went and I sent him to her and he comes home and I go, well, he goes, yep, she told me everything that you told me. But it's different coming from someone else, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. You can't coach really yourself and you can't coach someone that is part of the problem, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And usually our family, our spouses are all intertwined in there.
Right. So when you say coach, how is that different than a counselor? So
yeah, good
can
question.
You explain that?
Yes. I'm going to explain it to the best of my ability. So
I put you on the spot.
Yeah. So I do some things that I would say can be considered therapy, and I have a license for that. And that are a little bit in that realm, which is why I can do the mental, the emotional things. But the thing that most coaches do is we are really forward moving, right? So we want to get people unstuck and moving forward. And it's always about the accountability. So one of the big things as a coach that I give my clients is accountability, right? Because again, we all know what to do.
Yeah,
there's not a whole, other than technology that is new every day, there's not a ton of new things, right? Eat right, move your body, sleep more, be around people, be engaged and love and, do good things for the community, right? It's having the accountability and the support. So it's like I am I'm always my client's biggest cheerleader. Like whatever their dreams are and their goals, that's the thing. My client that I told you that ended up adding $40,000 to her revenue in 3 months, that's not what she came to me for. But she had mentioned it. She's like, yeah, I've thought I said, why aren't we not doing that? And that's
Right.
where all the self doubt came from,
Mhm.
right? So, as a coach, I'm always stretching
Mhm.
my clients
Right.
because they have these dreams,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And yet we have gotten the habit sometimes of waiting.
Mhm.
Waiting is a habit.
Right.
And if you've developed the habit of waiting,
Mhm.
then a coach can help you get out of the habit of waiting
Mhm.
and actually doing
Right.
something.
Right.
And so that's something. So support and accountability is huge.
Mhm.
And then help, like we talked about, helping people see their blind spots
Mhm.
and asking good questions.
Okay.
That's, and therapists can do that as well.
Right.
They can.
Right. Right.
It's different. It's just different. And sometimes it can take longer
Mhm.
than coaching. And
Coaching, right.
sometimes,
Mhm.
I look at there's traumas with a capital T and
Mhm.
traumas with a little case T,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I can deal with both, especially in my
Mhm.
my big 1-day deep dive. We can deal with both.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just need someone moving you forward and keeping you going. And there's ways that you can handle them quickly,
Right.
that you don't have to stay stuck in them for years, and you
Right.
don't have to analyze them for a
Mhm.
long time.
Mhm.
In 10
Just
minutes,
do it.
in
Yeah.
10 minutes,
Mhm.
this can be resolved
Mhm.
if we look at it a different way. That's
Mhm.
truly what I help people do. I help people look at traumas in a different way.
Okay.
We're not suppressing it.
Right.
We're looking at a different way
Mhm.
and then moving on.
So after the stress breakthrough, the 1 day
Yeah. hmm
issue.
Mhm.
So do you keep in touch with them on a regular basis after that, or I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so that depends on the clients, right?
Okay.
I always recommend it's very interesting. Some of my clients want to do the breakthrough to start,
Mhm.
and they know that if they do that,
Mhm.
the rest of coaching will be easier.
Okay.
Like what they really want to accomplish, if they do the breakthrough first, the
Mhm.
rest of their
Okay.
goals will be easier.
Almost moving to the next level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them want to start out with some of the what I'm going to call basics first,
Mhm.
and then they do the deep dive.
Okay.
Okay. Some of them end up then on a monthly check-in.
Mhm.
Some of them still need twice a month after that. It's
Okay.
really,
Just depending on their
it
needs.
really does depend on the needs of people. Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm very flexible. Like I don't have a cookie cutter program
Mhm.
because everybody is so different and
Right.
what people need and
Right.
how often. And it's,
Yeah. So you're very empathetic.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
that comes through. So you mentioned you speak for organizations and companies. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I love speaking. So something that we didn't mention is that I'm a music theater major.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I actually have a master's degree in dance
Oh,
also. So
yeah.
I am like I'm a
I've watched your
performer.
Facebook posts.
Yeah,
so
I'm a
I know.
performer. And so I do love speaking.
Uh-huh.
And I also feel like it's one of the greatest ways to get awareness of stress out to the masses,
Mhm.
really, right? To get it out to more people.
Right.
And so I do the mess of stress. I do work-life balance. Is there such a thing?
Mhm.
Because
Right.
we can talk, and then that depends. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur,
Mhm.
then we got to look at work-life balance a little bit differently than if you're someone that has a 9 to 5
Mhm.
and you can truly walk out of there. Like it just, that's going to look different for everybody.
Absolutely.
I also started speaking on money mindset
Okay.
because I'm going to say men have this as well. I'm going to speak to women because I coach women.
Right.
We have disempowering beliefs that keep us stuck from our earning potential. And whether that be the fees we're setting,
Mhm.
whether that be the salary that we're making and negotiating the salary that we want, any of that, we have disempowering beliefs. And I have a way that is pretty easy to identify where your disempowering beliefs are. And then I have strategies, methods that can go in and fix them as well. And that's what I had to do. Remember, I think I said this earlier in the interview that I was hitting the ceiling and just frustrated. And
Right.
so I had to go in and do that for myself. So women have, because of the generational of where we've come from, we have a lot of disempowering beliefs around money.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I know when I very first started, as a marketing consultant, and I was somebody said, "Well, I can't afford that." Oh, okay. So I'd lower it $200 or $300,
Yes.
doing the same work for a lot less money.
Right.
But I was always scared that if I didn't, I wouldn't get a client. So,
There are some women that also feel like they can't make more than their husband, like that's going to cause conflict issues.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a big
Mhm.
one. There are some women that feel like I'm not good enough. Men don't have that problem. Men are like, men can only know how to do 60% of what they need to do. And they're like, I am good enough to make that amount. And women are like, I only know how to do 98%. I'm not good enough. You know what I mean? So we have to bust through those
Right.
beliefs.
Right.
You know, that's,
Right.
and that's all unconscious. That's going back and dealing with that unconscious. So I love speaking. I speak to organizations. I speak to companies. What I am considered in the world of speaking is soft skills. So big conferences, I'm like if anybody knows anything about big conferences, they usually have their, what is the industry people that are speaking, and then they have soft skills, and I'm considered a soft skill speaker. So that's where I fit in.
Well, I can see where that, because everybody has stress. I don't care
Yes,
who you are,
exactly.
they all have
Exactly.
it.
Yep.
So,
Last year I spoke in Vegas for the travel industry and was able to really say, and you want to talk about some stress. They went from no business
know,
to
yeah.
now the whole world is traveling big. You know what I mean? Because we didn't travel for so long. Everybody's like, let's go, so that was great.
Yeah, that is, and there's a lot of deadlines there, and
Yes.
you know,
Oh, yes.
people were losing money and they wanted to rebook, and I
Right.
know, yeah.
And when they have people that are anywhere, right? They're traveling, across the pond. If they have a problem, it's on them to help them. You know what I mean? So they're one of those that is difficult. That work-life balance is a little bit different for them. And so I had to, I spoke to that for them, which might be different than you and I. You know what I mean? Like for
Right.
what you
As a
do.
business owner.
Yes.
Yeah,
And for
right.
what you do of providing, products of to promote people. They may not need that product at 2 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? Like you can have set boundaries and be
but
like,
they wait for 3 days before they need it for a trade show, and then calling, what can you get me in 2 days?
Nothing.
Well, no, I sometimes have pulled a rabbit out of a hat, but and that's my overachiever, because I do whatever it takes, and I'm very tenacious. So I'll call everybody I know. So as a business owner and C-suite executive or high-level professional, what are the benefits of hiring a coach?
Yeah, I think that goes back to really having someone else help you stretch,
Right.
help you see your stress personalities, and really give you that support and accountability that you need to, one, have life success. Like I look at, it's not always about our careers. Like if you look at, I always have my clients do the life wheel, which really looks at all areas of life. How is your health? How is your home environment? How's your social life? How's your finances? How's your spirituality, right? We're looking at all the different pieces. And so having a coach, having a life coach, and, as a business owner, I can bring in business components as well, that money mindset, like different things. But as a life coach, I want to make sure your entire wheel is full. And so that's the benefit of having that coach, so that you are elevating your success in all areas of your life, and not just like, oh, my career is amazing, and yet the rest of my life is falling apart. I have no social life. I have no, you know what I mean? My house is a wreck, but really looking at the whole.
Do you have a coach?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you do?
Oh, that is
I think every coach does have a coach. Yeah.
I just said this on my podcast the other day when I reviewed somebody. I said, I would not hire a coach that doesn't have a coach. Because again, we need
you have
coaches.
To believe in your system,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I have my own blind spots that I need somebody to help me get out of the way.
Right.
And my coach can tell you of my blind spots.
Oh, shoot. So can you give me examples of the results people have where they've reclaimed their time back and into their week, and they have tools to manage the stress?
Yeah. I had a woman, and she was not prioritizing herself, right? So she was working all day, and she would come home and she was exhausted, she was depleted, and then you got the family that needs more of you, and we found time back for her, right? And there's strategies of how to look for time and what needs to be done, and we found time back for her, and now several days a week she is making time for herself, and she has learned how to balance her energy. That's another thing that I help women do, so that when she gets home, she is ready to be present.
Mhm.
And currently she has a 1-year-old,
Oh,
right?
my.
And so, I mean, you need
Right.
some energy.
Mhm.
And so she is ready to be present. I had another client, and she would get home. She was a business professional, and she would get home from work, and she would literally sit on the couch and
Mhm.
like just check out.
Mhm.
And her son was, I don't know, maybe 4-ish, and he would just kind of sit and play by himself.
Oh,
And I
wow.
mean, and she recognized, she was like, I cannot keep doing this to
Mhm.
either of us. Like
Right.
this, you know what I mean? This is
Mhm.
not working.
Right.
And then she was able to come home, be present with him. She got her house organized and clean like she wanted. She was making dinners,
Mhm.
and she was a single mom. And we also helped her, I'm going to say, manifest the man of her dreams.
Oh,
Like
really?
she is
Wow.
now in the healthiest relationship
Wow.
with the man that she will marry.
Wow.
And it was beautiful.
Mm.
It was beautiful. So
you
it,
must be really happy when you see
Oh,
people succeed. And
I
yeah.
and women that start using their voice,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's different because it doesn't, we can be very high level professionals and still in situations
Mhm.
where we find ourselves not using your voice. It's not like we have to be these meek, quiet women.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just in certain situations.
Mhm.
And then you start using your voice, and that confidence comes out, and really hitting those goals that you want and achieving those dreams. It is really, I love my job. I love it. I love
I
it.
can tell, Kelly.
I love it.
Now, you wrote a chapter in a very successful book.
Mhm.
And so can you tell me a little bit about that and what kind of feedback you have got from that chapter that you wrote?
Yeah, so my chapter was called Radical Acceptance.
Mhm.
And in this book specifically, at the time, I was really on my journey at that time for me to really be learning how to love myself and my body.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was on that journey for myself. And when I go back and I was talking about me being a performer, I grew up in the dance pageant world and the dance world.
Mhm.
Okay. Back in the 70s, mind
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
there was no body acceptance. There was no Dove commercials of all bodies are beautiful. You know what I mean? It was,
Right.
as a dancer, you needed to be
Mhm.
pencil thin. You
Mhm.
needed to look like the ballerina no matter what you were doing. And so, and just being in pageants in general, very critical,
Mhm.
right? And you're getting criticized
Right.
just being in pageants. So I did a lot of work on self-love for
Mhm.
myself. And so that's where the chapter Radical Acceptance came in. It was really about me learning how to love and accept myself
Interesting.
as I am,
Wow.
no matter what.
Wow. See, I'm looking at you incredulously and saying you're gorgeous. How would, it would be really difficult for somebody to believe that.
Yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. That's that
Right.
whole inner
Mhm.
struggle
Mhm.
that we carry around. That's that inner chaos.
Mhm.
And there was another talk that I did for a women's organization, and it was about body image. And I stood up there and I pretended that I was in my closet, and I had a mirror, and I did what I used to do in my closet, which was change clothes and be like, I look fat in this. I mean, literally like the chaos
Yeah.
of my closet
Wow.
that I used to do regularly. But then when you see me out in public, I mean,
Yes.
you see me, I'm
Yeah.
very polished.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh,
And
I
so
know.
you
Yeah.
have no idea.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming to the end of our interview. It's been great. I think we've learned a lot. And hopefully, some of our listeners will be able to identify their stress, and they'll, contact you for help.
Can I offer something for the
Sure,
listeners?
absolutely.
Yeah. So I have a complimentary strategy session
Okay.
that I would love to offer any of the listeners. It's 30 minutes.
Okay.
It's complimentary, and we go through some questions and just see
Okay.
what can come up for them
Great.
and ways to help.
Wow, that's
So
great.
happy to do that.
That's great. So listeners, tell us once again how they can get hold of you if they're interested.
So LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn the most, and
Okay.
that's LinkedIn Kelly Rissy,
Okay.
or my website, which is riseupandlivewellness.com,
Mhm.
or you can shoot me an email at kelly@riseupandlivewellness.com and just say, I heard about you, that you offer a 30-minute strategy session,
Okay.
and I will send you my calendar.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great. So take advantage of that, listeners, because she really is very, very, very good at what she does. And I know that you'll benefit from that. So please reach out to Kelly to learn more, and to me, Diane, at promoexperts.com for your promotional products needs or just to offer feedback about the show. We really enjoyed having you today. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Diane. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here.